Good afternoon and welcome to Real Chicks Rock Presents Real Discussions. I am your host, Michelle Dosberg, and as always, I'm super excited to be here. Yay! 'Cause, I got somebody in the studio with me today. It's been a long time since I had somebody here with me, and I'm so excited. Yes, and we're going to get to her in just a second. It is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day.
Fathers.
Yes. We want to show the same amount of excitement for our fathers as we do for the moms. Thank you, dads, all the dads that are celebrating today. We thank you so much for your sacrifice, your commitment, just loving on your family, your kids. It's just a beautiful day here. It was a lot of storms last night, but the weather has cleared up just a few moments ago. And so when I finish today's show, I'm heading down to Centennial Park with Real Men Can Cook.
Yay! Real Men Can Cook.
Real Men Cook. And so we'll be down there serving the men. You know, there'll be a lot of food there. Great opportunity for families to get together. So it's just a beautiful day here in Atlanta. But without any further ado, let me just thank all of the new listeners that are checking us out today. Thank you so much for leaning in, spending the afternoon checking us out. Let me give you a little background about what Real Chicks Rock is all about. We are all about creatively collaborating and connecting to raise awareness regarding issues that impact women. And we do it by way of community service, engagement, public speaking, mentoring, workshops, and the media, the arts, which is this platform right here. Today, we are going to talk to some people that love what they do. Yeah, we talk about serious issues from politics to financial wealth and management to education. And then there's a softer side. There's the entertainment side. There are people that I believe that are doing legendary work because they love what they do so much. They're so passionate. And today is no exception. Today, we are talking to people that they just love to tickle the keys, right? These are two musicians that I know that love what they do so much. Here in the studio with me is Tammy Harper, and my other guest is John Adams by Zoom. Hi, John.
Hey, John.
How are you? How are you and everybody?
Yes, we are
Doing
good.
great.
Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, John, I'm going to start with you, and I got a secret that I didn't even tell Tammy. I didn't tell anybody that we are family.
We are
That's right.
That
family.
you are my
Hey.
cousin. You are my cousin.
Right on.
Hi, cousin. How you doing, cousin? Tell the people a little bit about yourself, John.
Well, I'm born and raised in the Bronx, but I'm double Jamaican on both sides of the family. Michelle is my cousin from my mother's side, and her aunt. They had the twins run in the family. So there were twins that were my first cousins that didn't survive in Jamaica, but the others, Beverly and Sheila. Sheila is Michelle's mom. Those are twins that came to America, I think, in their early teens.
Yes.
And Beverly is my first piano teacher.
Hi, Auntie Bev.
Yeah. So there was a piano. There was a piano that someone gifted us while we were living in the North Bronx in the Eden Wall projects. I was about 6, and I think my mother said, he's not banging, he's doing something. It's not just like how kids do like that. So, and also, since my mother is so left-handed and didn't want me to be the same, he said, well, maybe if I have him learn piano, he won't be as left-handed as me.
Okay.
So at 6, Michelle's aunt, Bev, was my first piano teacher. The other thing about the twins thing, Aunt Bev, had 2 sets of twins back to back.
Yeah. So twins run in the family. That is correct, John. So thank you for that. So Tammy, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm from the suburbs of Philadelphia in Bensalem, PA. Right. I've been in Atlanta for now over 30 years. I came here to go to the greatest school in the world, Spelman College. So I'm a proud graduate with a Bachelor of Arts degree in music. And nowadays, I'm a full-time musician and a music executive. So maybe we'll talk more about that later. And a proud mommy to a 14-year-old named Gabby, who's an amazing dancer.
Yeah. So, John, you went to Art and Design High School, right? Did you not?
Yes, I did.
Right. So tell us a little bit about what was it like growing up as a child in your neighborhood. Just kind of set the stage for us and maybe lean in on your musical inspirations during that time.
Well, let's to encapsulate it, I started kindergarten in 1956, 57. So that's only 2 or 3 years after Brown versus education.
Gotcha.
Board of Education. And the projects I was in had an elementary school that was walking distance, like right down the block. But I got bused to school. I got bused to a school that was in another neighborhood in order to take care of that Supreme Court thing. And it was a good school. And so I grew up with everybody. And also, post-World War II and Korean War, the projects weren't necessarily just for black people. It was for people upper middle class, lower middle class, going to move up because they were still the fallacy of moving upward, in society just by doing the right thing, which I think we can debate that. And so I had Jewish neighbors, I had Italian neighbors, I had Puerto Rican neighbors, and we all went to school together. We played outside, all of that. So moving forward to that school, after I showed some interest with Bev, there was a teacher that came to our school and said, well, I'll teach after school piano. And she didn't have a piano, but she started us on a cardboard thing just to get us to get the fingering. And then I said, well, I got a piano at home, and my mom did. So that teacher, Mrs. Voss, who I don't know what happened to her now, but since that's many years ago, she taught me from until like 1964, 5. So this is like 3-4 years. And I learned to read and to play, but I had a very good ear. So 64, 65, that's the heart of Motown. I'm sorry,
Right.
So I'm in junior high school, John Philip Sousa High School, Junior High School 142, and I started buying records at Alexander's and on Fordham Road and everything, and bringing them home and learning to play them.
Wow.
And so that brought me to being able to play with other guys who were starting to be in a band as part of another organization that adults put together to help the youth, called the Youth Leadership Foundation, for which that's how I met Ray Chu. Ray Chu was part of that, but I've known him since he was 6. He's younger than me by about 6 or 7 years. So that organization, that was my first band in 1967.
Wow.
But at the same time, I wanted to be an architect, because when I went to Jamaica, I saw our cousin Victor was in construction, and also someone else that I stayed with was into construction and drafting. So one of my friends from the project that was also part of the organization said, "No, you should come here because you can draw." So I took the exam and was accepted to High School of Art and Design and studied architecture there, and then later graduated from there. Took the entrance exam to Cooper Union for architecture.
Wow.
Which is in the village.
Wow. Awesome stuff, John. Awesome. We're going to talk about more of your experiences with the band in just a moment. Tammy, for you, growing up as a child in your neighborhood, what was that like? And what were some of your musical influences back then?
Well, our neighborhood was a small neighborhood centered around our church, St. Matthew United Methodist Church in Trevose, PA. And it was cool because we lived down the street, and my birth mother, rest in peace, she played the piano and sang.
Okay.
My grandfather, Consuelo Mozart Myers, played the piano and sang.
Mozart
Can you
Myers?
believe that?
That
yes.
was his name?
A black man with the middle name Mozart, yes.
Wow,
And
he was serious.
Yes.
They knew.
They knew.
Okay.
So it's in my bloodline. So they both played the
Yeah.
piano and the organ and sang. And so apparently when my mother passed when I was 3, they said, Tammy's playing the piano. No, she isn't. But apparently I was at 3. And then once I was around 7, that's when I started taking lessons. We had a piano store at the mall. And another lady named Mrs. Dees that lived in the neighborhood, and this cool man that would come to the house, and I could play some other kind of stuff. So I just took regular weekly lessons, went through the John Thompson book, and it wasn't until I got to, you remember those, the red books?
The red books.
They were on point. They led the way, and it's so funny because, John, I didn't hardly practice nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I just open the book and play. Then one day I got to Spelman College and Dr. Joyce Finch Johnston, and she said, cut those nails and get in the practice room. I still got nails. I'm a rebel. I still play with long fingernails. I cut them when I have classical to play, but then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually practicing 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. So going from 0 with nothingness to 14 hours of practicing classical music. So Dr. Johnston changed my life, and then my musicianship went way, way up. So when I was a child, it was just playing in the church. All of our family, we had a family group called the Third Generation. We came in 3rd place in the Kentucky Fried Chicken Gospel Contest, probably in the early 80s. Can you believe that? We were beat out by a barbershop quartet. Those were grown men beat us out. We were little children. But we were singing in 3-part harmony back then. And so it was really our family choirs, our church choirs, in high school. Doing my thing, still doing music in the course. And then once I got to college, then more formalized training, being in the Spelman College Glee Club. And, just a beautiful life full of music. And that's just up to age 21. And then, of course, the next 30 years after that.
So when you went first...
30 years? You only got 30 years.
Yeah.
Man, I'm going to tell you, brother, I'm 50 years old. Hey!
So Tammy, share with us some of your musical influences when you first started playing the piano.
Well, first it would definitely be my birth mother, even though I was so little. She was one. Her name was Victoria Myers Harper. And my grandpa, Consuelo Mozart Myers. Then once you get into the teenage years, I don't know about you, John, but that's when I started buying sheet music. Even though I had an ear like you, but I wanted to play All This Love the way El DeBarge played it. I wanted to play Ribbon in the Sky the way Stevie played it. And I even bought, it was a song by Rick James. And it was, Ebony Eyes. I don't even remember that from the 80s. So I was buying sheet music so I could play it like them. And I mean, all these years later, I can still play it the same exact way. When I play Ribbon in the Sky, we play... and there was another one by DeBarge, either like Stay This Way or something like that you play them and it sounds exactly like the record because they're pianists who wrote the songs, you know what I mean? So yes, those are some of my early influences. Stevie Wonder, I have an anthology right now. You know those songs in those hard keys, I kind of turn those pages, the hard keys.
Oh, you mean an E flat and D flat and all that kind
of stuff? Yes, I sometimes turn those pages because my brain don't want to do it, but oh my goodness, that anthology, and you just see all that brilliance came right out of Stevie.
That's right.
Song after song after song after song, you know what I mean?
It sounds like for both of you, because you guys can learn music, you guys are trained, I guess, by your ear. So learning the learning a piano, a musical instrument, was not hard for you. Is that a safe assumption? It came natural, John. It just came natural for you, right?
More or less.
Right?
More or less.
Yeah, it was easy. Until I got to college, it felt easy.
It's incredible because most of us, we just don't have that. So it's always a challenge and a struggle. So I want to move a little forward here, especially with you, John, because since we're family, we have some memories, right? And I remember as a kid, and just by the way, I used to play the piano too, not as well as you guys.
Right, because there's a grand piano in the house.
Yeah, we had a piano in the house.
Grandma
Rest in peace, my grandmother, Daphne Alberta Rod, who was like, you're going to learn how to play an instrument. So my sister Joanne played piano, then I played piano, and then I moved on to playing the violin. So I know, but I didn't have the ear for the piano. I just did what I did through the lessons and that type of thing. But John, what I remember, especially with you, is that when we were at your Aunt Alma's house, right, and in the basement, that's where the record playing took place and a lot of dancing took place. And I remember this one time, John, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you pulled out some vinyl and on it had this asymmetrical design on the cover, a round, a square, and a rectangle, and the name of the group was called Change.
Oh yeah.
You remember that? Give it and fill me in. What did you play a part in that album? If I remember, maybe I'm out of pocket. Tell me why that album was so significant for us that day.
Well, I pulled that out because that had to be at least 1981.
Yes.
Just to fill in some of the gap between. I left the Cooper Union because I didn't like the way they were teaching, architecture, and they didn't, I didn't fit their program of what they wanted to see. So then at that time they had open enrollment at City College and all the city universities. Okay. So I worked for a little time, and then I went to City College, and my mother thought that I was, that it was a mistake. And she said, "Oh God, you're going to eat paint," because musicians very often starve. But I said, "But Mom, you already told me what I'll do. I can do whatever I put my mind to." So, long story short, I ended up getting Bachelor of Fine Arts in music, and especially in jazz arranging.
Nice.
So I learned to write and arrange for a 20-piece band. Some of whose members are also famous and well known. So by the time I got out of college, I started the tour. I started with a group called Ecstasy, Passion, and Pain.
Yes. Yes.
And because I replaced somebody, and then that brought me to another person's house who had another group whose piano player left, and I brought my gear over to that house and we practiced and we finished the record, but it never got released. But because I filled that job well, that ended up, this is 76, 77, that put me to replace that same guy on Broadway in Arms Too Short to Box with God.
Nice.
Awesome.
Brother show. So I ended up being assistant conductor, and I conducted that show 20 times. So moving forward to your thing, there were other groups that we can fill in later, but I had the group Change was that album, the Geometric Shapes. That was what they used to call a producer's record that had different artists, but one concept from the writers. And so Jocelyn Brown was on that record. Then the first record had 2 songs by what's the name went out of my head. Luther Vandross. He sang 2 songs on that record, and they became hits. But he couldn't be the band leader. I mean, he couldn't leave and front that group, so he never did. So they did the second record, and they wanted to put a band together, and I ended up being in the band in '81. In '81, to do that, we opened for Rick James when he had that big record.
That's awesome.
That's man, it's incredible. Share with us a couple of the groups, if you don't mind, that you've had the opportunity to work with.
Okay, with Ecstasy, Passion, and Pain, let's see, Change. Let's see. These guys from Philly, 10% of nothing.
Double exposure.
Okay. Yeah, Double Exposure.
Double
I went there. That's the first time I went to Africa with them.
Wow.
Nice.
And that's 79. 80 and 81. That's change. I was with and then 82. I was with Phyllis Hyman. And then moved from Phyllis Hyman to Hush Productions, who that's Charles Huggins and his brothers. Charles was married to Melba Moore, and at the time they also had, Gene Carn and Frida Payne signed to them. But under them, they ended up having Kashiff in there and Paul Lawrence Jones. So while I was there, someone else brought me in, and when he left, I was there from 82 to 85. So I ended up being the musical director for Melba Moore, for Lilo Thomas, and for Freddie Jackson.
Nice.
So that brings us to like 86, and then after that, I did something with Angela Bofield, and then moving into the 90s, something more people know, I was the original musical director for Keith Sweat for 2 tours.
Nice.
So he did the first album. That was all Teddy Riley, but the second album, the band played on that one. And on the third album, I co-wrote a tune with him. So that brings us to like 92ish. But I've had opportunity to play when I was with Arms Short. We ended up playing for President Carter in the White House. Because I was with Misha Parrish from London. I ended up playing for the Princess Trust, and that put me in front of. I met you played for Prince Charles and Lady Di, and I ended up meeting them.
Wow.
In the in the dressing room.
Yeah.
So I've got it's a lot of stuff. So that brings you to like 90.
Lot of great groups, John. Thank you for that. Tammy, share with us, what was your first professional gig, and what was it like for you?
The irony is I graduated from Spelman, and all of a sudden I was in a band called Hip Chick. 7 women of color.
Okay.
And we booked a tour for the DOD, which is the Department of Defense. So all of a sudden, so Honduras, Panama, Puerto Rico, Antigua, and Bermuda. So, 21 years old, like, what? And so we practiced like 6 hours, 7 to midnight, 6 days a week. So we knew that most of us knew the music back and front and had our routines and everything. And we did covers. So just imagine you go to Honduras and you're on the military base and all you see is men. Hey! So 7 women, all these men. Hey, I'm saying hi to my Facebook family. Hi, you guys. And so you know how much fun that was. Woo-hoo. And the first set, all the men were in the back of the room and we're in the front. By the time the second set, they were like right in front of us. And, this is 92. So we were doing songs like Real Love, Mary J. Blige. And we did Get It Up. Get It Up, get ready for, even though it was a Prince original. We did all kinds of stuff because TLC also brought that song back. And so as my first professional gig, it was nice to get paid. Yeah. And I sent the money back to my sister, who of course spent all the money. Sorry, Melissa, I called you out.
Melissa, she called you out, Melissa. She did. Yeah.
I was like, Melissa, where's our money? But anyway, but it was fantastic. So that was a 3-week tour, October of 92. And then I'm just going to mention one more story. So that band broke up. Then I was in a second band called Van Gogh, who was featuring Van Hunt. I think many of you guys know he's a national recording artist. Yeah. But at the time in the band, I'm like, he's a genius. This just ain't going to last. And I don't like to talk about stuff like that, but that's exactly what happened. We auditioned for Dionne Farris, and she took Van away, and our band just kind of split up.
Wow.
So after 2 bands, it didn't really go. I was like, maybe I should just get a job. So that's why I fell into human resources and did music on the side.
Okay.
So later we'll talk some as we go further into our lives. But yes, that was my first professional gig on tour.
Now, so Tammy, did you find that you got more of your support from home or through school, or where did you get most of your support?
You know, and it's funny you're asking, because as you move from place to place, so while you're in school, you're getting support from your teachers, your fellow students, your family. Now you're an adult, you graduated.
Yeah.
So my sister, Melissa, she's been there the whole time. So my sister, my parents. But then if you're in a band situation and you were abroad, then it's your bandmates. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And your manager. And then the support as you keep on going happens to be your friends too.
Right.
Because I don't want to say necessarily fans, but friends that care so much, they actually do come out to your gigs, you know.
Right.
Some of them are right here. I'm going to call y'all out. Ann, Erica, Sarah, Mark, my sister's there somewhere. I think I see Renee in a teeny tiny little picture. Letitia. So you have your friends that gig after gig after gig, they keep on coming. Mm-hmm. So then it turns into your friend support, because I came straight from Philly down to the A. I've been here ever since. Mm-hmm. So, you know, all the rest of my family for the most part is somewhere else. So it was nice to have the support of my sister, my friends, and people who just love music. Most of the people that support me are not even musicians, just music enthusiasts, you know, which I'm sure you've encountered that too, John, that it's not always the musicians, it's the people that love what you do. They love you, and then they want to support what you do for the love of music. So we get like a combo deal of love, you know what I mean?
That's right.
And because there's always going to be strangers that don't know you at all, that still come out, then they become a fan later as well. Mm-hmm.
John, you've been able to curate a beautiful footprint with your experience. I know that the relationships that you have are still vibrant and good. I see the love that you get on social media when you post some pictures and, you know, remembering some group photos and things of that nature. I know it's been good. Share with us, John, life on the road, the good and the bad and the ugly. Would you do it again? Are you still on the road? Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Well, I would do it again. I just have tighter criteria, and I also have, you know, there's things I won't do. In other words, what usually happens is, if folks, like almost anything else, if folks are looking to exploit you, they want to make you feel that if you don't do this, or if you don't work with me, or if you don't go for what these parameters are, mm-hmm. you'll never work again. Mm-hmm. Well, that's true. I will always work as long as I have talent, as long as I'm breathing.
Yes.
So my talent makes me viable to somebody, and I think, like with any job, the job has parameters for you in order to do the job. But you have parameters for them, mm-hmm. that they need to ascribe to, that makes it viable for you. In other words, they can't decide to pay you any way they want to pay you and how they want to pay you. There has to be an agreement. Excuse me. There has to be an agreement on how you get paid and under what circumstances. One of the biggest things that I used to like rail at is that folks in charge can monopolize or waste your time, however, with no consequence. However, if you are late, they want to dock you.
Right.
Well, okay. The best situation like that was when we were changed. The person in charge of that was the road manager. If he docked us, that went to food on the bus. I can go for that. Mm. But if we're in rehearsal, the management makes you wait, and you're waiting. But they don't get docked. But if you waste, you're 10 minutes late, they want to dock you, they get to keep the money. I'm not feeling that so much, because there's no reciprocity in accountability. So the lack of accountability often in some of the upward levels of an organization on the road can be problematic. But I just don't. I'm flexible, and I don't get angry or yell and scream, I just go, well, I'm going home.
Yeah.
or I'm not doing that. So in terms of the future, there are a couple of situations that look like could be very lucrative. So we're getting ready to play for some of them. I got rehearsal after this.
Yes, you do. I know. I'm not going to hold you too long, but yeah.
But that situation is very, very lucrative. So and we have a road thing we're going on next week, and that looks like it's in good shape.
Good.
That looks like it's in good shape.
Good for you. Good. I want to ask you this, John, because you've done so many different things. You've written music and you've been a musical director. Which one do you like better or more? You like writing, producing the music more, or being that musical director? What's your fave?
I like it all. I mean, it depends on the situation. I think I've been in a position. The time that I really started touring was when they started to get. Even when I was a musical director, it required 2 keyboard players. So I'm used to working as in a group to make the thing happen.
Right.
But also as a band leader, I like to help the progress in the direction without necessarily having to tell everyone what exactly to do or So there's always room after when you're doing music for that person's individual expression.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it's for a record, because when you perform a record live, it's changed a little bit now. But when you perform a record live, most artists, if they're creative, wanted to expand from that. I think a good example of that is Jill Scott.
Uh-huh.
Jill Scott is very, very, very flexible. She did the record okay, and it's a great record. But when she does it live, it goes.
Totally
yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. And you really, actually, John, you hope for that. You know what I mean? Could you imagine if you were responsible? You play this on horns. You do this. You're almost like, in the name of Jesus, come on in the room. And then when the horns, they blow, I'm like, oh, snap. Because they are that good and they are that creative that you're just, like you're saying, you're giving the direction. You don't have to say, play these notes, do this. It's a more, that's the part that I like. I've been to plenty of shows, and you can see who's giving the direction, and that you can sell the parts where people have the opportunity to breathe, we'll say. You know what I mean?
That's correct. That's right.
Yeah, I wish I would have seen you out somewhere. So you may have to tell me on the side where you're gonna be.
Well,
so I can.
You're gonna have to go to New York too, right?
Yeah, my daughter wants to go. I'll go to New York.
So Tammy, for you are a musician. During the green room setup, you're singing, la 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 la. You sing. So where are you now? Because I heard music executive. So tell us a little bit. How did you get into that space?
You know what? That was the grace of God.
Okay.
Literally. So, and many of you guys know already, but in 2011, I was at my job for, I guess at that time, 14 years. And everybody knew I worked in human resources, but I was also a musician. Mm-hmm. And I just started getting those feelings like, oh, I just really want to do music. And I went to go talk to my senior VP. And she's like, Tammy, let's talk about your career. And I was going to give some BS answer, which really isn't even me. But I couldn't even open my mouth. And God said in this ear, it's time. And then I looked at her and I said, I'm not supposed to be here. And the tears fell. She said, Tammy, I didn't mean to make you cry. I said, I'm leaving, just not today. Okay. And 9 months after that, March 30th, 2012, Revolution Day, Revelation Day, Freedom Day, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't Juneteenth, but it was Freedom Day. And so now we're at the 9-year mark. So 9 years of being a full-time musician.
Right.
Then 8 months ago, I'm walking these streets, just exercising. God, I feel like I want more. Whatever more looks like, I don't know. Then the same postings I look at every day, I see one that says A&R. What?
Yeah.
I can do this. Interview. And he said, Tammy, the CEO, you got to make a choice. You want to be an artist or a music executive? Oh, snap. I want to pray about it and come back to you, brother. So I was like, man, I can do both. So I am still a musician. I am a music executive. So to answer the question, I'm a VP of A&R. So A&R is artist and repertoire, for those who don't know, of artist development with a company called Wealth Nation, an artist development and brand management company. So I started as an A&R, kept on going, scouting talent. Then I got promoted to assistant VP. Oh, snap. Then I got promoted to VP. What? With the team. And what? And who? And what? So the grace of God, and like I've told people, you don't know me, John, but for the first time in my life, I'm being fully utilized. Wow. Do you know what I mean?
There you go.
Like when we say fully utilized, because I don't know about you, but sometimes these musical spaces, you're put into the box. You have so much to give, you're put in the box. So in the music spaces, I am an educator. I'm a church musician. I have private students. I teach her child, Christopher. Shout out to Christopher, my piano student. So lots of piano students in the church and my elders. So I teach to the elderly and I play for the elderly. And then, just so many cool things. I mean, the interview with Michelle, Real Chicks Rock, shout out. And then everybody over here on Facebook. So it's like OMG. And then, John, every round going higher and higher. I have not done what you have done, brother. But at 50 years old, I'm like, whoa, like I'm at the, there's a gentleman, the black man that won the Tony Award at like 70 years old. And he said, when you get to the top of the mountain, you're at the bottom of the next mountain. So even though I got up to VP, I feel like I'm at the bottom of the mountain because I can see all these other amazing things happening. Because I put my request out to God, and then he comes back with a little platter. You know what I mean? And somebody's like, here you go. Here's an assortment platter. I really did want all of these donuts. I really did. I didn't want just glaze. I really wanted all of this. And he says, here you go, Tam. And then I take it, and I take that ball and run. Do you know what I mean? So I can't, John, we're going to talk offline because you are so super dope for your expertise and some things like that. And I'm sure we have people in common that we know. Even my brother-in-law, give him some shout-outs.
Yes.
Hey, Drew. Phil Davis is my brother-in-law, married to my sister, and he is an amazing Grammy Award-winning jazz pianist. So my favorite musician in the A is now my brother-in-law. Believe it or not, that's the way that God works. Don't mean to turn this into a spiritual conversation, but we must give it to him.
That's the whole point.
You know what I mean? Yes, thank you.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. You had to get that out. And that's why we're having these conversations. Yes, John.
It's funny you should say that it's spaces. Excuse me. As I think about whether I want to travel and how much I want to travel and who wants to do what and whether that's necessary because the pandemic has changed a lot of things. There's a lot of things that you can do online, live, but I've done a lot of live recording to be broadcast online on your house, or it can be done in arenas as well. But given that, I think there's also because I'm 69 years old, and I'm getting ready to I don't know how much longer I want to be carrying stuff.
And you better say that. We don't feel like carrying stuff no more.
All my stuff is lightweight, However, I want to add another thing, and I might, I'm thinking about. I look on LinkedIn, and they say, "Oh, well, you might be able to be part of this, this thing using A&R or doing stuff." So I might think about doing that as well. Right. So I have another option because I have the expertise.
Do we want
so there's other things to think about.
Do we want to start thinking about ways we can bridge the gap between what we know collectively as, I'm going to say, musicians and like kids in school? Because the musical programs in school are always the first ones to get cut, right? Always the arts and music. But I feel like we've become a little bit more well-rounded because of our exposure to music, especially when you become a musician. Whether or not you take it seriously or not for the long term, that's not what I'm here about, but I think it helps. It helps in other areas. It builds confidence, self-esteem, leadership, team
And we're not
building.
even going to talk about math, because I totally aced math. I didn't have to take math at Spelman. I placed out in math. So I think that there is, like, between music, it's all counting and everything anyway. Of course, it's very simple. But in the scheme of life, music and math go hand in hand. And when I got to Spelman, I didn't know if I wanted to do music or math. But I said, there's a whole lot more mathematicians than musicians. So I better go this way. And, you know, it's been a blessing. But yeah, to answer your question, I'm also involved in the Atlanta Music Project. Got to shout y'all out too. And the pandemic has changed things, but I was the choral accompanist, I was a collaborative pianist, and again, this is in the urban community, my community in Southwest Atlanta. They built the Atlanta Music Project Education Center for Performance and Education. This beautiful space in my neighborhood where children are learning how to play orchestral instruments and sing.
It's beautiful.
Do you know what I mean? By experts. We didn't bring anybody in that didn't know what they were doing. Everyone is highly qualified, and now we've received funding. There's scholarship funding at Clayton State. There's other funding we received from a private source and from the lady Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. She's given money. We're one of the beneficiaries, 200 and something nonprofits that receive funding.
Awesome.
So big things are happening, and what a blessing it is that I can be a part of that too. I'm very proud of that. During the pandemic, we had to do things differently. They didn't really need the accompanist because everyone's virtual, but I was still able to do things as I could. But yeah, I do agree with music. It makes a huge difference in any child's life. For all my students, they go from 6 years old up to probably 70 years old, and the impact that it's making every single day. When they play, the ones that are naturals, the ones that are struggling, nobody's a lost cause. Everybody that wants to do it, and my prices are affordable too. Because imagine, you know, in the old days, my lessons were $7. You know what I mean? $7. You know, every week $7 until you get, to the next level. But you want it to be affordable so anybody who wants to take a lesson can get it from a quality teacher that's not mean and not hitting you on the hand and cracking jokes and making you smile. Then by the time you're grown, you have children. Hey, I want my children to have a similar experience. You know what I mean?
John, I see you doing webinars or master classes.
Me too.
Definitely on that level because of your experiences and who you've worked with and the way your mind thinks around music and the way you speak to people. You're a kind soul. You do have great relationships and friendships. And so I know that the way you convey the importance of how one should learn a musical note would be well received. So I'm just going to, share that with you. And yet, to Tammy's point, Christopher is her student, and we did have to shift and learn those lessons virtually, where they're doing FaceTime, using an iPad, using an iPhone, whatever the technology we could do to keep things going, and we didn't miss a beat. Unless we decided not to have lessons that week, but we were here for it. Tammy was willing to teach it, and by you being virtual in that space, you can get more people because there's no travel time, so you can you're turning over appointments or opportunities much more quickly than packing up or waiting for people to show up and do all of those type of things. But I would really like to see that. I think what you've done, John, definitely is a legacy work. And I would love to any way to inspire, however, to make sure that what you've learned we can pass on to these children, because there's definitely something amiss. I was on a conversation this morning where some of our children today, or the generations coming behind us, don't even know how to write love songs because it's just different. It's just a different.
You're right about that.
It's just a different time. So just the way that we write music, approach music, listen to music, how it makes us feel is totally different. For me, it's a life-saving mechanism. It is. It takes me to a time and a place. I know specifics. I know the words. It makes me feel a certain way. And I know for most people who love music and who are our musicians feel the same way. So this is excellent. So I just wanted to throw that out for you. For you.
For a minute, I did teach for 2-3 years at the Boys Club of New York.
Nice.
Both downtown on 10th Street. They have a large program that they do that. and I taught people who we came in from after school from
Nice.
6 years old to about 13, and different levels of ability. Some folks, you know, had I think were like maybe artistic or on a spectrum, but
Right.
but some of them can still play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That has, you know, and then uptown at 111th Street, I put together the electronic music center. They had one earlier that was on PCs, but then I switched it over to Macs for a couple of years, and then the issue that we're talking about, I think, in education, that it's tied to money and to, as opposed to developing a full human being. The schooling that we went to was about creating, you know, a human being that followed, like maybe the English style of even though they were thinking about empire building, it's still about, it was following the Greek and Roman style of this. The book is this big.
Right. Right.
Well, and so you do music, and everybody's not going to be great at music or art or anything, but it opens up your mind. Now they're teaching the test. You know,
that's true.
Yeah.
And they're teaching the test, and I will say this about music now. Ethnically, I think black people in music are narrow cast. That is, it's not broadcast. In other words, someone my age, if I'm doing country music and I'm not black, I might still be able to get a hit record on the radio. But now I'm not doing that. You know, that's not going to happen for me.
Yeah.
You know, I might unless it would have to be online or something like that.
Right.
So what the kids say, oh, you make beats? That's not so they mean they do. Can you make a song?
Yeah.
You know, like a DJ, more or less.
Right.
But not necessarily do you play anything. So they learn to do that, which is one thing. That's fine. But they're not.
So much more.
Yeah.
There's nothing in school to cover the rest of it. You can cover all of that and do the beats. I don't have I'll close by saying this. I don't have a problem with the kind of music that's happening now, because the type of music we went to a club for, our parents didn't like that neither. But there's all kinds of radio for all kinds of music for other ethnic groups that that get famous, and we only get to do this.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so we have to expand.
Yeah, we got to expand. Yes.
So let me ask you this, John. Is there an artist that you'd like to work with that you've not done so already? Got somebody in mind? Anybody that you'd like to work with?
Yeah, Joe Scott would be nice.
Yeah.
I have some friends. The other thing that I was lucky because a person who I call an older brother, his son is Salaam Remi.
Okay.
So because of Salaam Remi, I'm on Amy Winehouse's record.
Yes.
Yay!
So that was a privilege. I got to meet her.
Nice.
And that same fellow, Salaam Remi, and some other friends of mine who are my contemporaries got to do the United States versus Billie Holiday. So that Andre Day did a fabulous job. She did very good.
Yes.
And you said you on that project too?
No, I'm not on that one. Other friends of mine, the piano player on that one is Alex Bugnon, who's also.
Yes, that is so, man. That, because it's true. Like, the world gets smaller as you get older. I'm sure you know that. So now it's a blessing when you go to an event and, oh, there's my friends in the horns. You know, shout out to Mike Burton if you're listening. Mike Burton, you know, there's like it's like, you know, this person on bass, this person on keys, this person over here. Oh man, and then let's not forget the women, the black girl magic. Do you know how exciting it is for me as a musician my dream wasn't necessarily to go on world tours and do all that stuff. I can say I did it once, even though it was 30 years ago, I did it once, so I can check that off. But I have other female musician friends that are doing it now, like Tracy, when she, and can't forget about Tasia, on tour with Janelle Monáe. You know what I'm saying? Like, so many, and it's just a beautiful thing when you look and see the sisters up there too, because as you know, the brothers be up there all the time dominating, which is fine, but there's so many quality sister musicians that are out there too. So it's really exciting to see when you turn on the TV, hey, there's some ladies, you know what I mean? And of course, like when Beyonce first had her all-female band, I auditioned. I said, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, but I'm gonna try. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try. And then
I know some of those people too.
Yeah. So you know what I mean?
You're playing that, and also you have to remember that vocalists are musicians as well, so they're very skilled. The musicians who are vocalists who are female, and we as well. Musicians who are vocalists should also study as much as they can about their craft, whether they can read or not. But they shouldn't consider themselves separate from from the craft of music.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that into the discussion too, because you're absolutely right. I know some phenomenal vocalists as well. So we can't leave, the brothers too, but we're talking about the sisters. We know, and I know you know of many, even here in Atlanta, super talented. And like I said, now when you know them personally and you give a shout out or you're proud of them, like how cool with social media, I repost all the time. My brothers and sister musicians. Some of my friends just became, let's say they're a governor for the Grammy Recording Academy. Now they're governors. I just reposted that stuff. I was so excited. 3 people I knew. You know what I mean? So as it's so much more than, men and women, people of color, just really making power moves. I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm a new executive. You know what I mean? I've never been a vice president in my life, John. You know what I mean? I've never led anyone except a choir, a band, and now I have a team, so when we're talking about being fully utilized and all that we're capable to do, and there's so much more, you know what I mean? So these are the exciting times. People want to start slowing down. You ain't slowed down. I heard how old you are. You ain't slowed down. I ain't slowing down either. So you really want to say keep up. You know what I mean? Keep up with us. You're my senior, and I'm going to talk to you offline sometime soon, and get some more from you and continue to be a sponge. And that's how I think our children, when we provide, like this one right here, Miss Michelle, provided for her child, even my little piano lessons once a week, I still am pouring into Christopher. You know what I mean? And so all the children and all the people I touch, because I worked actually at Boys and Girls Clubs of America. That's where I was for 15 years at the national office before I became a full-time musician. So I think in these days and times, we keep pushing that needle forward in our musicianship. And the people that want to play by ear, I give them a little bit of room, but I want to steer them back to this book to learn the foundation of reading these notes, and then go from there, and then launch from there.
Tammy, you got an artist you like to work with?
Well, in terms of my dreams, Stevie Wonder, who I absolutely love. Stevie, if I could work with him, meet him, hold his hand or something, Stevie Wonder. In terms of genius level, which is more of what you're talking about, John, would be Quincy Jones. Man, when I watched the Quincy Jones documentary, I took orchestration. That was so hard. You know what I mean? So to know he was being, writing for Frank Sinatra and going on tour. So in terms of like the genius would be him, my Stevie Wonder. In terms of my boo thing, that'd be Maxwell. And then in terms of Black Girl Magic, Alicia Keys, because we're both classically trained pianists from up top, like that. That's why I would say Alicia Keys, because we'd be like that. Jill, like you said, I've met her a couple times. I don't know her, but it would be fun to work with her too. And I mean, there's just so many different musicians. I like her. She's new.
Yeah, she's
my
great.
cousin
She's
Robbie.
amazing.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
She's amazing.
My cousin Robbie was working with her, and that's how we got his Grammy. I guess it was 2019, right before the pandemic. His name is, well, he goes by LB, but he's Robbie Dorsey. He's an engineer, and he's worked with all kinds of people from the Roots and all kinds of people. But when he was talking about Gabby for like 5 years, all of us in the family, I told y'all about Gabby. Who's Gabby? Her. And he went to the Grammys, and he said, if she wins Album of the Year, I'll get a statue. But if she wins Best R&B Album, I'll get a certificate. And she won Best R&B Album. So I was so proud of my cousin. He went to Howard, left Howard, went to New York to be a musician. So all this 20 years, that's why I'm like, I don't mind waiting. You know what I mean? I just want to go to the Grammys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have to be a governor. If I can go. So when we talk about the bottom of the mountain, and I have my sights set going higher, Africa, that's my dream. You know, I want to go to Africa, whether it's with or without artists, and go or tour. You know, hear the rhythms and the beats and everything. Fela Kuti. If I went to, Nigeria and heard some Afrobeat, I'd probably pass out and come back to life dancing.
Oh, wow.
But yes, I have a whole lot of dreams, so I'm not giving up. That's why I'm like, John, I'm going to talk to you offline about some other stuff.
I got one more thing, right? So in 1980, I ended up playing with Harry Belafonte. So we did all of Canada, and then we went to Cuba. We went to Cuba.
Cuba. Yes.
I was in Cuba for 10 days, and I was this close to Fidel Castro.
What? Now, what about a cigar? Did you get a cigar?
I didn't smoke, but I brought one home. and then we went to Jamaica, which at that time they were having political turmoil. They had just tried to assassinate Norman Manley.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's 1980, and I said, he said, well, he's coming to see us. I said, well, where's he sitting? Because they just shot at him.
And you want to be alive.
Yeah.
But that ended up being all right.
Wow.
So, John, you mentioned you got some things coming up. You wouldn't mind going back on the road, some things looking pretty lucrative, but it's really based on where you are as a musician, so the conditions are fitting for you. So that's really exciting news. And so I'm so happy for you. How can people find you, John? Like, how can people find you? On social media? You got some platforms? What you doing? Where you at?
I'm on Facebook. I'm John F. Adams. So there are other ones, there's other guys that are John Adams as well. John F. Adams. I don't do the Instagram. I hit that every once in a while, but mainly Facebook. Also, you can look for me by name on. I have a single out that I put. It's called Everything I Eat Turns to Gas. It's on iTunes. It's on Spotify. It's on SoundCloud as well.
Okay.
Under John F. Adams, and I'm also working with a young lady from Alabama who's a surgeon. She's a very talented entrepreneur who runs a spa for wellness from here to here.
Yes.
And her name, she goes by The Real Talk MD. So we wrote. She's on those same platforms, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and we have 2 tunes on there. One tune is called. There's an acronym MACE. Meditate, affirmation, communication, elevation.
Awesome.
And another one called Power. So we wrote that, this year. So those are 2 things that you can look for. And also, I'm performing with the African artist. Her name is Natu, Natu Camara, Camara. She's from Guinea Conakry. They speak French and their native languages. That's what we're going to rehearse with now.
That's awesome.
If you look for her, she's posted where we will be next weekend.
Nice. Congratulations, John.
Yay.
That's awesome.
That's some good stuff.
Awesome stuff.
We're going to check you out.
Awesome stuff. Tammy, what's going on with you? What projects you have going on?
Well, mostly I'm going to talk about the A&R side.
Okay.
So Wealth Nation, so I have 3 artists that I work with personally. So we have Aerial Views, Ariel, Aerial Views Music, and he is releasing his second single called Focus on Friday, June 25th, and he's having his single release party at Cat's Cafe, y'all. You guys that are in Atlanta, come on to Cat's Cafe, Saturday, June 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. Then my second artist, Gifted Youngsters. He's in Seattle, and he's a hip-hop artist, and it's Gifted and then Youngsters, but with an A-Z on the end. Gifted Youngsters. He's doing some big things. And then my third artist, her name is Tabitha. She's brand new. So I can't say anything about Tabitha right now because that's how new she is.
Okay.
Now, also, there's another artist. So I told you guys I have a team. So as a team lead, one of the artists is named Luow, Luow. And me and my daughter Gabby are featured in his new music video called All That and Some Chips. And he's from Louisiana, and I play the mom, and Gabby plays the sister, and it's very cute. But it already has 125,000 views, probably more than that. Go on YouTube, look up Luow, Luow, for that song. And then there's this other set of twins named the Stoners. Their last name is Stoner, and they're hip hop artists, and they're coming out soon. The Stoners.
Yes.
And then there's another gentleman, I'm also on that team, named Jay Monday. He's dope. He's a chiropractor, a doctor, medical doctor, something. He's dope too. Letter J Monday. And he has a new mixtape called Homage, Homage. I'm
looking at the site now.
And then there's also AK. He's a Wealth Nation artist. He was just offered 2 record deals. Which one shall he choose? I don't know, but he's pronounced Aykay. There's another artist named Dottie Line who is a girl dad. And he's releasing something, Dottilyne, who's a girl dad. And happy Father's Day to him and these other fathers out here. I'm going to stop there because I could keep going. But I'm very thankful and grateful. I love giving shout outs to everybody. And then follow me, Tam Tunes. Okay, follow me, TAM for Tammy, TUNES, Tunes for Melodies. So Tam Tunes on Facebook, on IG, on Twitter. That is me. And I'm also on LinkedIn, Tammy Harper. Also on Facebook, I maxed out at 5,000. I'm going to delete somebody and add John F. Adams so I can add him on. But Tam Tunes on Facebook only has 900 and something. So follow me on Tam Tunes on Facebook, Tammy Harper on Facebook. Put in a request and we'll have to delete somebody and add you, but I'd be happy to. And thank you, Michelle, for this opportunity.
You're welcome.
Thank you, cuz.
You're welcome. You know, John, we are so proud of you as a family. I just wanted to extend this platform to you just to let people know the body of work that you've done, because I consider it legendary. So thank you for everything that you've done in the musical space. Thanks for being one of my favorite cousins. I love you. Hi, Karen. Tell Karen I said hi in the background. Tammy, you know we love you here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Tammy is just this burst of energy, guys, that you are experiencing here. This is all the time.
All the time.
This is all the time. Tammy is this way. She's great. She's a wonderful person.
Thank you.
And she's a musician that is out and playing and teaching and loving and singing, and her energy has been great.
I forgot something. Excuse me, please. I'm going to be on live stream on Venkman's on Wednesday. Me and Miss Miller, Deborah Miller.
Hi, Deborah Miller.
So once you follow me at Tam Tunes, I'm sure I'm going to post something again. But this is Wednesday, 6:30 to 8:30. And I think it's like volume.tv/Venkman, VENKMANS, volume.tv/Venkman, 6:30 to 8:30, and we can see you and we can talk back to you while we're performing 2 hours straight. Me and Deborah Miller. So I'm on keys, singing backgrounds, and Deb is our lead vocalist. That's for
good.
Wednesday. Thank you.
It's good stuff. Thank you, guys. I want to thank you guys. Today's sponsor is, I like her. I like her energy, and I love what she's doing. The real Madam CJ. She's awesome. Divine Clementine Bath and Body is now available on KrogerFarmersMarket.com. This is really big because what is the difference between Kroger Farmers Market and all the other Kroger e-commerce options? The products available for purchase and delivery through Kroger Farmers Market are grown, harvested, sourced, and made by local farmers, artisans, and sellers only. The products are only those that you would find at your local farmers market and not where you would find at the Kroger stores. So this is awesome. Congratulations, Madam CJ, for this. I have the soap. I've used the soap. It's really great. It has really taken off. A lot more people are interested in it because we are caring about what we put on our skin, not only what we eat and put in our body, but what we apply to our skin, our natural skin care. And the soap has been really great. It has helped people with eczema. It's just really, it's a really good product. And so I just wanted to, I'm thankful that she's our sponsor for today. Keep up the great work. Keep up the things that you're doing and saying to enlighten us in the community. We love it, and we love the way you deliver the message. So congratulations to Madam CJ, and go to Kroger Farmers Market and get that Divine Clementine Bath and Body products that she's selling through them now. I also want to thank our listeners. We got some listeners way across the pond in the UK, in Germany, and Paraguay. Thanks, you guys, and Get Live Radio for checking us out. Thank you here locally in the Atlanta metropolitan area on WDJY 99.1 FM. Thank you so much for leaning in, listening, asking questions, asking about the show, liking the show. We love the fact that you're doing it. And you also check us out on live streams as well. Thank you so much. Special thanks to BeatBreakRadioFM.com. You know what, guys? I love you guys. Thank you so much for airing our show on that platform. Now, for you guys, listen, ever since we turned season 6, I've been doing this for 5 years.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so in April we started our 6th season, and so I decided to close out the show with a tribute to somebody that I love in the musical, radio, communication, media space. That is the late, great Frankie Crocker. And the one thing that he always said to us was, may you live to be 100, and I live to be 100 minus a day, so I never have to know that beautiful people like you had passed away. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I'm Real Chicks Rock. You know where to find me. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and check out the website, realchicksrock.com. Until next time, you guys, be well, take care, and continue to rock.